know you want to, Kevin. You want to talk about the DNA thing?
Oh,
I
can
know
I?
you do. I know
Yeah,
you
but
do.
well,
Let's get
yeah,
him to talk about that first.
well, but because she did ask about the Sierra thing, and because I've spoken about this, why it matters to men in general, black men in particular, the symbolism. Whether you agree with what a lot of black men are saying, you need to listen to them because black men's media representation, until we have decided to start taking control of it, has been contrived for us in the media. So we have to. So every depiction of us matters, and you have a arguably a man who would be considered an alpha male, went to Stanford, as two Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he's married to a woman who's a Christian woman twerking, and she's the baby mama of a man who has like 13 children. Where do you see that in outside the black community? Tom Brady. I mean, it's just not a good depiction. And even if I can talk about them in an isolated event, I will say the optics looks bad. Your wife is supposed to be for you, not for this. And the fact that, especially in the black community, a community that has, for the most part, been pretty damn socially conservative, that we're even questioning why people got an issue, it's kind of troubling. I don't see Tom Brady's wife twerking nowhere.
So,
It, it,
Kevin, would you say that it is mainly the like you used the word optics? I was just about to say that if you didn't, do you think it's mainly the optics, like overall the image that's being portrayed in terms of black people more so than like this individual?
it's in terms of
Uh,
black men. It's in terms of black men. Black men have taken too many L's. We're just tired of losing in the media. And every time black men are hypersensitive, and for good reason, about our image. For the longest, it was outside of our control. So now when we start to have actively say something and the pushback, see, it will be one thing if black men said one thing about Sierra and Russell Wilson and there was no pushback from women. It's the pushback from women. It's almost like, well, how dare you say something? And I trust me, I've sided on the side of saying I understand why Russell Wilson is doing what he does, but I also have to take a step back and say it's bigger than Russell and Sierra. You are representative of us because we are all one big black community in the way the world looks at it. So we have to get to a point in our community where the voice of men matters without question. Because it's like every time a black man brings something to the forefront, it's always questioned to the nth degree. Why? And eventually it's because, goddamn, we're men. We're the only group of men who have to validate ourselves in front of other men and then in front of our women, in front of everybody.
you know what, Kevin? You're the first one I think tonight that I've heard come at it from that angle in terms of the black community and just the optics of it and the representation and things like that. I don't think I heard anyone else say that. So, in your opinion, how could how could black men more effectively I guess communicate these things? Because I think some of the disconnect is when, because earlier when people were talking, I'm like, okay, that's what you would do, that's what you would do. It was coming from a very personal and emotional kind of standpoint, like personally for whoever was
Mhm.
talking. So like how could it be more effectively communicated so that it's seen in a way that is conducive for like our community being seen, I guess, more positively in the media?
Um, how can it be communicated more effectively?
Right,
Well,
versus getting emotional and saying, well, if I it was my wife, if it was my wife. Outside of that, like what advice would you give?
this may not be popular, but you have to. It's kind of like this guy who's in the news for getting 110 years for this traffic for the accident that killed all those people. There are people who are just saying he killed four people. You've seen extremes on both ends, but the people who are really extreme on tend to have somebody who's died in a car accident who's a truck driver, and you can understand why people have hyper emotion. I get the fact why so many brothers feel this way, and I would just say if people start feeling a little bit more empathy for why Normally, logical men are going straight to the emotion because it surpasses so much because our image has been so contrived for us. I do this for a living. I've been doing this for a long time, and my expectations of most men aren't the same as I have for myself, which is why brothers feel some kind of way when they see one of us on the stage who've achieved so much. He's like, man, you know what it's like out here for us. And you should also say, well, twerk all you want to, but Sierra, why you got to do like that? I mean, I don't, it's not even something we really want to have to talk about, honestly. But it is where I'll put it us up on us as men. Black men have to get black male media by black men for black men to where we start controlling our own image to where we don't have to have athletes, entertainers, and musicians be the forefront where the business class and the politicians and the political and the power structure should be for us. That's our struggle because we don't have black male media. So no other group
Yeah.
has that issue. That's why I hammer that so much. But we were talking about this paternity thing.
Yes.
And what I don't understand is why so many women would be offended because men want to know, because you carry the child. I mean, back in the monarchy, the lineage was determined through the queen. It was said what they were saying, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Parental discrepancy has been something with us forever until we had DNA testing. And when we start having DNA testing, we start finding out about a whole lot of stuff that wasn't right. There have been plenty of women who have been offended up one side and down another. And then when Maury come back, you are not the father. All of a sudden it becomes something else. So I don't understand why wanting to know is so offensive to women knowing what men have to risk. That's what I don't get. It's like women are offended, and it's like as though the man is just doing something to be vindictive, spiteful. In other words, it ain't about you. It's about his peace of mind. And this is one of the problems so many black men have. Even when I was sitting down and talking in Miami last week, I was like, I often ask women, what do men do that's good that has nothing to do with you? And I hear nothing, because sadly, we've gotten to a point in the world, and especially in our community, that all of our actions are viewed through the lens of the woman.